Hey guys, welcome to my new series where I play every single Wii U game that had any kind of physical retail release here in North America. If you want more details on the series, check out the preview video I made a couple days before this one. I'll also leave the preview video in the description for each video for convenience. Anyway, let's get started on our first game, NintendoLand. NintendoLand was first released for the Wii U as a pack-in launch title on November 18th, 2012. It's essentially a tech demo for the system to show off what the Wii U gamepad is capable of doing. It's in the same boat as Wii Sports. Unlike Wii Sports, however, I didn't really play this game as much when I first got it back in 2013. I guess I was too occupied with Mario Kart 8 and New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. I think the last time I actually really played this game was back in 2014, and I only really remember playing the Zelda and Pikmin minigames. I'm feeling nostalgic, let's dive back into NintendoLand to see if it still holds up to this day. So right off the bat, I'm already hit with nostalgia. It's that music, man, that music just hits you. It's been at least, what, 10 years since I've played this game, and man, I still remember all of this crap. Now, NintendoLand is essentially just a Nintendo theme park inside of your Wii U console. It's great. All the mini-games are basically just attractions based on different Nintendo properties. You know, you got Animal Crossing, Mario, F-Zero, Pikmin, Zelda, this one. The one thing I do remember when walking around this main hub area is the Miiverse. I remember comments people made, all the different Miis you can see, but since Miiverse is no longer with us, you can't see those anymore, and a little bit of the charm of this overworld has kind of faded away. But man, I remember all those messages, a lot of different drawings people had, people showing their high score and all that. It was great, it was fun to see. And early on in the Miiverse life, it was pretty magical, I gotta say. So since this game doesn't have a designated single player mode, I decided just to play every single minigame until I get my full opinion on it. Now, inside NintendoLand, there are 12, count them, 12 minigames you could play. Sadly though, 3 of them I am unable to play, that being Mario Chase, Luigi's Ghost Mansion, and Animal Crossing Sweet Day. The only reason is because you need a second person to play them with, and I'm going solo for most of these games, so I can't play them. So the first game I tried out was Balloon Trip Breeze. I actually don't even remember playing this one back then, so let's see how it is. So at the start of each minigame, you are given a tutorial on how to play from our good friend Monita, who is essentially the only character in this game, and she's alright. She's got a just monotone robotic voice, and sometimes she can be funny, but other times she's just kind of, I don't know, there. But getting back to the Balloon Trip minigame, it's pretty fun. Essentially what you do is you slide your stylus across the Wii U gamepad and just fly around. Depending on how far you swipe your stylus is how far you'll go. You need to collect balloons to get points, avoid obstacles like spikes and enemies. It can be pretty challenging as the game goes on. I mean, I've died a few times trying to get through this. I kind of just played until I just lost all of my lives, but it can be pretty addicting. And man, I feel bad for these little chicken things that I pop the balloons on, because once you pop their balloons, they kind of just fall in the water and get eaten by a giant fish. Oh, poor guys. It's not just the obstacles that get more plentiful, but there's also weather effects like rain or wind that can affect speed or just make you heavier. It's honestly a lot more complex than it seems, so I give this one a pass. It's pretty fun. Next up is The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest, which you could play with a friend if you want. One person can control using a bow and arrow, and the other person can be using a sword and a shield. Sadly, however, I am not able to use the sword and shield because I don't have Wii Motion Plus. I mean, I'm going to have to get that for later games down the list, but for now, I don't have Wii Motion Plus, so I'm stuck using the bow and arrow. But not all hope is lost. When you choose the bow and arrow, it basically shows off the Wii U's capability of gyroscope aiming, and you know what? It works pretty well, and it was even adapted into future Legend of Zelda remakes on the Wii U. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the most fun games on the package. I don't know, just something about aiming with the Wii U gamepad, I don't know, it feels right. Especially with that close-up view on the gamepad, it's pretty easy to do. It's a simple minigame, but it works. So the game acts similarly to a rail shooter, where a bunch of enemies will come by and you shoot them with your bow and arrow. Depending on how back you hold back your bowstring is how far, how fast, and how powerful your arrow will be. If you just do light taps, it won't do that much damage, but it's pretty useful if you get swarmed by a bunch of moblins, and if you hold it down all the way, it'll get fully charged up, and it'll pretty much kill all the weaker enemies in one hit, and it will pierce through a bunch of enemies too. This minigame also boasts a ton of levels, so you can always go back and replay it anytime you want, because it can get pretty tough later on, especially with all the enemies that spawn in, and a bunch of other obstacles they add in, like fog effect during the 5th level. And there are some annoying enemies in this one too, like the final boss of the last level I played, this giant bird wizard that spawns little bats and he teleports all over the place. It's pretty annoying, but you know what, it was fun to fight him. I really wish I could have played the sword and shield option, but no Wii Motion Plus. So the Battle Quest game is really good. I would say it's probably one of the best games on the disc. Next up is Yoshi's Fruit Cart, which, I don't know, this one isn't as exciting as the Legend of Zelda one or even the Balloon Trip one. So what you do in this game is you draw a line on the Wii U gamepad and lead Yoshi into a bunch of fruit and other gift boxes and stuff. Collecting all the fruit will unlock the door at the very end. If you miss a fruit or you make a path too long before you reach the exit, Yoshi will get tired and die, and you will lose a life and have to start over again. Now when you look at the TV screen, all the fruit and all the stuff is displayed on the screen, but if you look at the gamepad, there is no fruit displayed, there are no holes displayed, so you're going to have to look back and forth at both the TV screen and the gamepad if you want to make a path to collect all the fruit efficiently. Again, this is another simple minigame that does get a bit more challenging later on, especially when the fruit moves or you have to collect them in a certain order. However, I'm not that big a fan of it. It's just, you draw a line and collect fruit. I could see it being a lot more engaging later on, but at the start, it just isn't super exciting. It is alright, probably not as replayable as some of the other games on the disc, but you could probably have some fun with it. The next game I played was Pikmin Adventure, and in this game you can either play as Olimar or a Pikmin, so that's pretty exciting. I started off as Olimar, and this is probably one of my favorite games on the whole disc, maybe because I'm just a big fan of Pikmin in general, but hey, you know what? I like this game. So one person, if you're playing with a friend, can play as Olimar, and the other person can play as a Pikmin. Luckily, if you are playing by yourself, you do have the option to play as a Pikmin, but for now I will talk about Olimar. So while it's not super accurate to the normal Pikmin games, this game is still pretty fun. Essentially the controls are just moving around, you tap the screen to throw your Pikmin, and you press the ZL button to use your whistle to regroup them back to you. It's pretty fun. The goal of this game is just to reach the end while killing a bunch of enemies along the way. A lot of the enemies just consist of bulborbs that are normally found in Pikmin games, except they're robots. You can find power-ups along the way by breaking open these question mark boxes, collecting nectar, which upgrade your Pikmin from leaves to buds to flowers, increasing their damage and making fights a lot easier. You can also find some other little power-ups like this hammer seed, which completely destroys a bunch of enemies. It's basically just a shotgun blast, and it completely wrecks a lot of the enemies on the screen, including some bosses. I think this is the game I played the most as a kid, and when I went back to record this, I played this the most too. I actually got up to the first boss for this one, the Bulb Lord, and you know what, he was a pretty tough fight. Well, tough in the sense that he had a bunch of health, most of his attacks were pretty easy to dodge, and you are stuck auto-strafing for this one. The TV screen really doesn't do this game justice. You really need to sit there with the gamepad and play it for yourself. And since I didn't need Wii Motion Plus to play as a Pikmin, I decided to check that one out too, and you know what? Man, the Pikmin mode is insane. You can completely destroy everything when you're playing as a Pikmin. If you collect a bunch of nectar and you get the hammer seed, you can pretty much just go solo on a bunch of things. You can jump on enemies' backs, your damage is insane, you get a 3-hit combo. It's completely nuts. The only problem I have with the Pikmin mode is, first off, the AI that plays Captain Olimar isn't that great. It's honestly just not that good. A lot of the times he'll just stand there and do nothing, and a lot of the times he won't call back his Pikmin, so you'll have instances where Pikmin will get stuck on something. Oh, this poor red Pikmin. And also, this is just me, but holding the Wiimote sideways just isn't that comfortable. It just digs into my hands. And just using the D-pad to move around just isn't as smooth as just using a normal analog stick. So Besides those things, the Pikmin mode is fine to play, just it's not super comfortable to play with the controller, and the AI for Captain Olimar really isn't that good. I should mention it now, after you beat any minigame, you can get coins, and these coins are used at the center of the hub world. And the tower in the center, you click on it on the gamepad, and you get to go into this little minigame, this little slot minigame where you dump all of your coins, and all you have to do is just hit these circles. And once you hit all the circles, they'll glow yellow, we'll go to the next stage, and you'll win a question mark box. If you decide to quit out, the statue will poop out a question mark box, and you can open it up on the gamepad and get a little trophy out of it. They're nice, they'll give you like little information on what the enemy is, how it relates to the game, or if it's just unique to the game, it'll just give you a little tidbit on it. It'll have a unique little animation. They're nice to collect and just scatter across the hub world. The next game is Octopus Dance. It's a rhythm game where you have to follow a 3-step dance move with the AI correctly or you die, essentially. So what you do in this game is you take both sticks, you can move them in any direction you want, and you just copy what the other guy is doing. You can shake the gamepad to jump, and you can also tilt the gamepad left or right to, tilt left and right. This minigame can be, whoa, wait, who's that guy? This minigame can be fun, but I just suck at rhythm games, so I didn't really get very far, especially when it gets a little too fast, and then he skips some steps during the countdown, so it really gets to me. But, you know what, I could see this game being very fun, very addictive, but for me, I'm just not good at it. Next up is Metroid Blast, another game that has 2 options to play. You can either ride around in Samus's ship, or you can go on foot. But I can't play on foot because I don't have Wii Motion Plus. So I'm stuck using Samus's ship, but not all hope is lost because playing in Samus's ship is alright. Now, this is a little bit different than what I was expecting, I guess. I was expecting a Star Fox kind of game. But essentially what it is you're trapped in a small arena, and all you have to do is shoot various different enemies until you move on to the next stage. You can get power-ups like faster shot speed, which is the only one I got for some reason. And you can also pick up health, and yeah, you know what, it's pretty fun. Now again, looking at the screen doesn't do it justice, so I'm going to have to explain the gamepad. So on the gamepad you get not a first person view, but you do just get a better view of your ship. You could zoom in for long distance targets. Controlling the ship does get some time to getting used to, because it is a little funky. You need to change your altitude, but once you get the hang of it, it works alright. I could see this one being, kind of addicting as well, but I guess if this game had more like Star Fox oriented kind of levels, I guess it would probably be more engaging, because just sitting in a box killing the same enemies over and over again isn't my thing, even though I'm a big fan of Serious Sam, so I don't know, this game just doesn't do it for me, but it's still alright. Next up is Donkey Kong's Crash Course, and now the TV screen definitely does not do this game justice, so I am going to have to explain it to you. So, if you look at the TV screen, you're just going to see a very small little trolley just move back and forth, and you're not really going to understand it if you just look at this. So on the gamepad, you actually get a close-up view of your trolley, which is basically just 2 wheels tied together on springs, and the top portion, the top circle portion, is just your face. And what you have to do in this game is just reach the end goal without falling over, hitting your me icon, because if you hit your me icon, you lose a life. The way you move around in this game is you tilt the Wii U gamepad left and right. Depending on how far you tilt it or how fast you tilt it is how far and how fast you're going to go. You can press the L and R buttons to change the elevation of some of the track layout. You can also blow into the microphone on the gamepad to raise some of the propeller platforms. This game can get pretty rough, I gotta say, but you know what? It's pretty fun. I didn't get very far into it because I suck. I went too fast and I tipped over a lot, but I could see myself coming back and playing this one just to try to get further and further each time, collecting more and more points. It can get that addicting. Next up is Takamaru's Ninja Castle. You remember that time when, during the Wii U, Nintendo decided to bring back, the Takamaru series, or whatever it's called? You probably know him from that assist trophy in Brawl. That assist trophy in Smash Ultimate. I don't know, he's just appeared a lot during the Wii U era. There's like a mini game based on him in one of the other Nintendo games. You have this and Super Smash Brothers. Yet they didn't make another game based on him. I think Nintendo wanted to, they just never did, sadly, because it probably would have been interesting to see Takamaru come to America officially. Anyway, this game plays out like your typical arcade shooter, where you sit in one spot, a bunch of enemies come by, and you shoot them down. You hold the Wii U gamepad vertically, and you slide your stylus across, flicking ninja stars at enemies. Depending on how fast you flick and how far you flick is how fast and how far the ninja stars will go. I feel like I've said that before. This game can also be pretty addicting. You can get different power-ups, like a smoke bomb, where if you spin a circle on the gamepad, you will actually throw out smoke bombs, killing multiple enemies at once. I didn't get super far into this one because you don't have a ton of lives in this one. In fact, you get no lives in this one, and you only get health. So I died at the first boss, and I did not feel like playing through it again just to get to that point because I do have other games to play. But I could see myself coming back to this one and trying to get further and further. Sadly, I ran out of quarters, so I can't reach the end. The final game I was able to play was Captain Falcon's Twister Race. Much like the Takamaru's castles, you hold the gamepad vertically while you steer Captain Falcon's Blue Falcon through a track avoiding obstacles and going off ramps. Basically, your goal of this game is just to reach the lap, you have like 30 seconds for each lap. You got to reach the end before time runs out or you lose. There are 12 laps, and if you beat all of them, you win. I almost got to the end. I only got up to lap 10, but I hit too many obstacles, and I was just a little too slow. This game is also very fun. Now, Monita actually recommends you look at the gamepad during the gameplay because it gives you an overhead view on what you're about to see. But honestly, I found it a lot easier just to look at the TV screen because you actually get to see the obstacles much more in advance. You can look down at the gamepad screen because it is a bit easier to avoid certain obstacles like the propeller, like the giant fans that move back and forth through the track. Those are a bit tough to dodge while looking at the TV screen, so you can get more accurate, more pinpoint precision when you look at the gamepad. You can also put your thumb on the gamepad to go a bit slower, to go around sharper turns. It's useful for avoiding obstacles and, again, the sharp turns. But yeah, I would say that this game is also very fun to play. So yeah, that's my journey through NintendoLand. I'm a bit upset that I wasn't able to play 3 of the minigames since they were designated to more than one person. And not having Wii Motion Plus, I couldn't experience some of the minigames in full. But let's get into the final ranking and see where this game stands in terms of quality. So first off, the gameplay. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Pretty much every minigame is fun to play and all utilize the gamepad very well. It doesn't get a perfect score because some games like Yoshi's Fruit Cart I didn't find all that exciting. Presentation obviously gets a 5 out of 5. I really love how this game looks. The idea of making this game into a theme park with the rides based on Nintendo IPs was a great idea. All the minigames have that theme park charm too, where the scenery and the enemies look like they were put together by actual people who in-universe were contracted to make these rides. Fun factor, I'll give it a nice 4 out of 5. Again, some games are more fun to play than others. This will be different depending on who plays it, I guess. But my favorites were the Pikmin, Zelda, and Donkey Kong games. And replayability, I'll also give a 4 out of 5. There's definitely a reason to go back and play some of these games. They can be addicting. Collecting coins and unlocking new statues is fun, and the different playstyles for some minigames can keep your interest for way longer than you expect. It doesn't get a full score because some games are locked behind 2 players or more, so if you're going in solo like me, there's a good portion you're missing out on. The final score for NintendoLand is a 4.375 out of 5. I guess I can round it up to a 4.4. I gotta say, coming back to this game, it really is one of the better games for the Wii U. It's a real shame I slept on this game when I first got it because it definitely has a lot more charm than I gave it credit for. And it's still fun to play to this day. It's also a better tech demo in comparison to 1-2 Switch. That game's poop. That concludes my journey back through NintendoLand, but now it's time to spin the wheel and see what game I'm playing next. Alright, we're gonna do a live wheel spin. I really hope I don't get something too crazy for the second game. Let's go. Huh? Oh, it was so close. DuckTales Remastered. That'll be the next game. Can't wait.